Steve Coogan is a name that's rightfully familiar to any British comedy fan. One of the fathers of modern day cringe comedy, he's undoubtedly best known as his dysfunctional alter ego, the inept sports broadcaster turned TV icon, Alan Partridge. Everybody, be it the general public or his fellow comedians, knows the impact and legacy that Alan has forged. So today I'd like to pay tribute to a couple of his earlier creations. Imagine, if you will, a cold, rainy night in Manchester. You find yourself precariously waddling down a dingy side street, following several too many of Joey Holt's finest, when suddenly the heavenly glow of the Codfather basks fortuitously down upon you. You stagger inside, craving warmth and grease in equal measure, only to be greeted by some fucking student writing a fucking cheque for a fucking bag of chips. Now, what would any sane, reasonable, sad, drunken bastard do?
I said that'll do for me outside.
Yes, today I'd like to talk about Paul Calf, played by Coogan, and his fetching sister Pauline, played by... Not again. Calf's first televised appearance was on Jonathan Ross's short-lived chat-cum-variety show, Saturday Zoo, in early 1993. At the tail end of that year, and what I believe showcases the siblings at the best, came the main focus of today's video, Paul Calf's video diary.
Hello, my name's Paul Calf, support Man City, like drinking, like a laugh, chat, bit of a debate, argument, scrap, fight, punch up, break some bloke's nose. I like life. The video diary chronicles Paul's pathetic efforts to win back long-suffering ex-girlfriend Julie, assisted by childhood friend Fat Bob and pretentious ex-student Roland. Following an early clash of personalities, they bond over a mutual enjoyment of cheap lager and hardcore pornography.
I think Freud got it right. We're all looking for the selfless, unconditional love we got from our mothers.
Yeah, you can't shag him up, can you?
And come up with a plan for Paul to recover his beloved Julie from a new spark and Paul's nemesis, Tony. After enlisting the help of the promiscuous Pauline, the posse's plot is put into place, its second attempt culminating New Year's Eve 1993. Does it succeed? Well, it's merely a quick jaunt to Amazon or Dailymotion to find out, isn't it?
That is class. Can't buy class. Where'd you get the fog lamps? Alfred's.
I adore this video diary for several reasons. There's no bleeding laugh track for one, and it in no way needs one. The script and acting are sublime, with some of the most quotable lines in any comedy I've seen, still ingrained well over 25 years later.
Do you want some Thai masala on the side?
Please, and some alfalfa sprouts.
Yeah, go on, treat yourself.
I find Pauline, Fat Bob, indeed the whole cast to be extremely authentic and heartfelt characters, undoubtedly shaped by Coogan's upbringing in the Greater Manchester area. Special mention goes to Paul himself. Violent, alcoholic, homophobic, a complete twat in every sense, but his blatant insecurities and despondent pining for Julie mean I can't help but feel some sympathy towards him, which I'd say was completely intended by Coogan. This is almost certainly some northern bias showing, but this sympathy and investment into Paul is greater than I'd ever felt for Alan, despite Partridge being overall the more fleshed out, nuanced character.
Sorry about that.
The video diary was followed up the year after by Pauline Calf's wedding video, which, whilst the slightly weaker of the two in my opinion, actually won the BAFTA for Best Comedy in 1995. Mightily impressive for a one-off. Paul and Pauline would also feature in Coogan's 6-part comedy series, Coogan's Run, as well as stand-up sets Live and Lewd, and The Man Who Thinks He's It. Without the supporting cast of the video diaries to bounce off, however, I feel the stand-up loses a lot of what made the diaries special, even though the content itself is perfectly serviceable. Other commitments, such as an increased focus on comedy productions with Baby Cow Productions, clever as well as Alan's resurgence in recent years, have limited the Calfs to only 2 further appearances since. Paul and Pauline Calf's Cheese and Ham Sandwich, and the unfortunately accurate Alan Partridge and other less successful characters. I'd like to think there's hope for a Calf return one day in sitcom form, his age now more reflective of his curmudgeonly opinions, as he attempts to fit into a more socially progressive society.
Nah, I'd rather see Dave Lee Travis play Macbeth.
Really?
To summarise, I'm here to profess that the Calfs are Coogan's greatest creations, shamefully and unfairly in the shadow of the behemoth that is Partridge. Not quite. Partridge has the plaudits he has for very good reason. However, Alan and Coogan's other recent successes shouldn't mean that Paul and Pauline, two wonderfully crafted characters, should duly fade into obscurity. Only one phrase comes into mind describing that notion.
Bag of shite.
Thank you very much, dear Mr. Polkarth. Thank you.
Thanks for watching, the more uninspired thesaurus bumming to follow.